The year is 2026, and deep beneath the surface of the world's oceans, China's evolving sea-based nuclear deterrent silently patrols. Hidden from satellites, radars, and enemy tracking systems, an older but historically important missile still defines the beginning of China's underwater nuclear journey. The JL-1 submarine-launched ballistic missile, also known as CSS-N3. Even though it is no longer a frontline weapon, the JL-1 changed China's Navy forever, giving it the power to strike from the shadows beneath the waves. The JL-1 was China's first successful submarine-launched ballistic missile. Before this missile, China's nuclear strike capability depended only on land-based missiles. If an enemy destroyed launch sites on land, China would have no second strike capability. The JL-1 changed that. It gave China something it had never had before: the ability to retaliate from the ocean. Imagine being on the deck of a submarine like the Type 0922 JL class. The crew is silent, navigating cold waters, running under the surface where light fades and pressure crushes anything not built to survive. A single order can bring the JL-1 missile to combat readiness. A hatch opens underwater. Compressed gas launches the missile upward. Only after it pierces the surface does the rocket ignite. Within seconds, the missile accelerates into the upper atmosphere, leaving a blazing trail of fire behind. The JL-1 wasn't the longest-range missile. It wasn't the fastest. But it was China's first step into the world of submarine nuclear deterrence, where capability matters far more than size. The JL-1 carried a nuclear warhead designed for a single strategic goal: guarantee that no enemy could strike China without consequences. It established what militaries call second strike capability. In simple words, even if China were attacked first, the JL-1 meant China had a guaranteed way to respond. The missile used solid fuel, giving it faster launch preparation compared to older liquid fuel missiles. Solid fuel allowed the missile to remain ready for launch at any time, a technological jump forward for China. Its guidance system used inertial navigation, primitive by today's standards, but in the 1980s it was groundbreaking for China. Despite its limitations, it worked. Fast forward to 2026. The JL-1 is no longer a frontline weapon. China has replaced it with missiles like the JL-2 and JL-3, which can strike targets far beyond continental distances. But the JL-1 still matters, for two powerful reasons. First, the JL-1 represents China's entry into the nuclear submarine missile club. Only a handful of nations ever achieved submarine-launched ballistic missile capability. Even today, the club remains small. The JL-1 put China on that list. Second, every modern Chinese SLBM traces its roots back to the JL-1. The technology used in launch tubes, the mechanisms for gas ejection underwater, the control systems designed to stabilize the missile as it breaks the ocean surface. All of these came from the JL-1 program. The missile also taught China critical lessons about stealth submarine patrols. Operating a submarine that carries ballistic missiles is not like sailing a warship. Noise is the enemy. In submarine warfare, sound equals death. Throughout the JL-1 era, Chinese engineers learned how to reduce submarine signatures, propeller noise, engine hum, and hull vibrations to avoid detection. You might wonder, what was the real range of the JL-1? On average, it could strike somewhere around 1,700 kilometers. That meant the submarine carrying it needed to get close to enemy coastlines, which was risky. Today's missiles can strike across oceans, but for its time, JL-1 was enough to force enemies to reconsider their strategies. One missile changed the whole conversation. Inside the submarine, launch procedures follow strict sequences. Crew members enter launch codes received from High Command. Systems check missile temperature, Tube pressure. Guidance alignment. The captain gives the order. Compressed gas ejects the missile from the water. Accelerometers detect it has breached the surface. Only then does the booster ignite, propelling the missile upward. Multiple safety systems ensure that accidental launch is impossible. For decades, the JL-1 rested quietly inside Type 092 submarines. Those submarines rarely traveled far from Chinese coastal waters, but their presence forced regional militaries to track them constantly. Submarines carrying strategic missiles don't have to fire a shot to change global geopolitics. Their presence alone does the job. In 2026, military analysts look back at the JL-1 not as a weapon of power, but as a symbol of transition. A transition from a regional military to a global strategic force. China's newer JL-3 missiles can reach entire continents without the submarine leaving its territorial waters. But none of that would exist without the trial and error that began with the JL-1. Every missile program begins with risk. Every breakthrough is built on past attempts. The JL-1 was a moment in history when China proved to itself and to the world that it could launch nuclear weapons from beneath the ocean's surface. It proved that China could hide a missile in the most secure launcher known to warfare, the deep ocean. So today, when military researchers talk about modern submarine deterrence, remember where it all began. Beneath the waves, in the silence of deep waters, with a missile called JL-1.